Hello everyone, welcome to day 18 of at-home training. I have a slightly different setup. I'm leaving my couch over here today instead of putting it over there, so I don't think it'll make any difference for you guys, but if it does, it's because I've slightly rearranged my room. Forgot to open my window. So today I just kind of, I'm going to do my same 500 elbows, 500 knees. I talk a lot, so if you guys have questions, if you watched yesterday and have questions that I didn't get to, or if you see anything today and you want to ask a question, just throw it up there and I will check throughout my workout and try to answer them if I can. Yeah, 18 is a lot. We're working through this. I'm basically trying to work on elements of my Muay Thai that I don't get to focus on exclusively when I'm at my gym. So I'm trying to take advantage of the fact that when I'm here and I have no equipment and no trainer and no like pad work, bag work, I have nothing to actually make contact with. So the things that I'm working on are kind of a like in the bush fix, like trying to do something like MacGyver it because you don't have all of the equipment that you want. But there's a very strange advantage to that I was thinking a lot about today. Let me open my window real quick. So I was thinking about what is it about my Muay Thai that I want to ninja camp be better at the end of this. And for me, it's actually really balance. For me, one of the biggest differences in good Muay Thai, like gym Muay Thai that's really good, and then like that is a fucking incredible fighter, it's balance. And it's not questionable. It's not like it's on a like sliding scale. It's like balance and not balance. It's not really a dimmer switch. It's kind of like pretty drastic when people have really nice balance versus not. And when fighters get older and they kind of haven't been training for a really long time and they come back and they want to like feel their oats and like kick some pads or something, usually they still have really beautiful technique, but their balance is gone, and it just totally changes what that effectiveness looks like. So I think a lot of people in the West, when they're looking at the fighters that they're really excited about, or like what makes a fight so exciting, is they're talking about power. They're like, wow, he really throws hard and it's like really exciting. And I'm like, but he's off balance all the time. Like he's throwing things, but he's off balance all the time. And so I kind of just can't see what people are talking about, whereas someone who doesn't necessarily, I don't like people who like, what is it in kickboxer, that tippy tap bullshit, I don't like that either, but power comes from the balance and precision. And so Kevin and I were doing a watch with me the other day. This is actually what made me think of it. Kevin and I did a watch with me probably last night, and it was Karhat fighting Wang Chinoy. Wang Chinoy has power, like a lot of power, especially in his hands. He was known as Mr. 33-second punch because he knocked Nam Kaboon out in 33 seconds. So, awesome nickname. Sorry, Nam Kaboon, that you got someone else's awesome nickname by being knocked out like that. But Wang Chinoy's got awesome power, and he's an excellent fighter. He's very well-rounded, very femur, like beautiful. He's fighting Karhat, who doesn't look like he has a lot of power. He definitely does. I've been in front of him, but it's not like his main thing. But when we were watching this fight, Kevin and I, there were a few times that I was like, oh, well, Wang Chinoy just got a couple of those kicks off. And Kevin was like, no, none of those count. He was off balance. And he's not necessarily talking about on the judges' scorecard. We don't know necessarily how they're scoring things. We just know the shape of how things are scored in Thailand, and effectiveness is important. Balance is incredibly important. And so we kind of have this tendency in the West to be like, oh, they really threw that, but it's like, did it land? Were you on balance? Did it have any effect at all on the opponent? How much effect did it have? All of those things. All of that comes down to balance. Karahat, actually, one of my favorite things about him is that when he's off balance, like sometimes he'll get like blasted backwards and he kind of does one of these, but he like comes back to it in a little bit of a like cartoon, like when you're like go back this way. So balance is something that's really important to me in my process and in my path towards, in Thai it's called Yod Moy. Yod Moy just means like the best fighters, so like the pinnacle of fighters. So for me, balance is like one of the main, if not the main elements in how to be able to express yourself the way that these Yod Muay can express themselves. So, at home, when I don't have any of the things that I have in the gym, how do I work on balance? One is something I've been talking about for 17 days prior to this, which is feeling everywhere that you are. So when you're shadowboxing, a lot of people think about the wrong things. And I talk a lot about how, like, there's no necessarily right and wrong technique because there are so many variations and it depends on you and stuff. And the only wrong one, the way Andy said it, the only wrong technique is the one you don't train or the one you don't like. There are wrong things to focus on in shadowboxing that is different from how there's no right and wrong in technique. You can be wrong in what you're thinking about in shadowboxing. And to me, what that is when you're, like, calculating out combinations in your head and, like, following through on the, like, okay, so I go jab, cross, and then kick. To me, that is wrong shadowboxing. You can do exactly that combination, but if in your head you're like, what does my balance feel like? Where is my weight shifting when I do that? How do I get more power? How do I get more speed by shifting my weight slightly faster? Something I noticed when I was watching my session with Charn Chai that just went up on Patreon the other day, and I've been talking about for a couple of days now because he's like this incredible teep master, and it all comes down to balance, and my balance was not that great, is that when I was trying to do this, like, from a standstill teep onto the bag, I was having a really hard time doing it because I would bring my weight forward, then bring it back, and then throw the teep. And he's like, you don't need to take all of those steps. You just, from a standstill, your weight's already on your back foot, you go, like, you take some of those, you, like, carve some of those elements out. This is why it's so important to, when you're shadowboxing, feel where your weight is that it took me, nobody told me that my weight was coming forward first. I had to feel, okay, my weight is coming forward first, then it's coming back, then it's going like this. So being able to feel those things is on the path towards finding your balance and focusing on your balance when you're shadowboxing, when you're doing hundreds of elbows, knees, teeps, anything that you're doing. Focusing on balance is really important. On maybe day 4 or 5, I did some, like, squats into knees, into teeps, into kicks that Andy Thompson taught me. That these are going through range of motion, starting from basically a standstill. And to me, those were really good for balance as well. So there are, like, exercises you can do for your balance that are a little bit like, symmetry and building muscle that'll help you push all the way through. But in general, your awareness on your balance is something that I'm working on all the time. Day 18, I'm focusing on my balance as much as possible, and I want this to be like my ninja camp so that when I go back to regular training, I can be noticeably to myself and hopefully like, oh my god, what happened to Sylvie? More balanced in everything that I do. So I will start with my elbows and my knees, but first I'll check if anyone has any questions or comments. Okay. So, in focusing on my balance, I've talked in previous days about, like, focusing on the tightness in my shoulders and in my back. Focusing on my balance when I'm just throwing elbows, because I'm only throwing elbows, it should make it easy to focus on just the balance. It's the same thing of if you're running, because it's just one foot in front of the other, running is pretty repetitive. If you decide to pay attention to, like, whether you're kicking your heels up, you take, like, one thing that you're thinking about. Because of the repetition, you're able to kind of find lots of spots on the graph that are outliers or not and kind of find the line that you want. So that's what I'm trying to do with my elbows. Today I'm trying to feel how my weight shifts with those elbows while keeping them loose. So basically, I occasionally tried to throw one much harder than the others to see if I could kind of knock myself off balance, but my balance was pretty secure. I'm gonna do some push-ups too. So I want to be for strong and clinching when I get back to it. So something about balance is that something that Kevin and I work on, not on camera, but we're working on what we're calling the diamond guard, which is basically like this, right? I'm small. I don't know if you guys know this about me. I'm fucking small. And I fight people much bigger than me, longer than me, heavier than me, better than me. So something that really drives me crazy, like everyone has something that they cannot stand. Like, you can like punch someone all day, but you slap their face and they just fly into a rage. I hate being pushed. I fucking hate it. Kevin does it a lot because I hate it. But the reason it bothers me so much with this when I get pushed off balance and it drives me crazy. I try to be strong. Like, I try to block like this, and Krunu, who's like tall and long, he'll just push on me, and I kind of he pushes on my guard, and from here, I can feel myself go like that. And it makes me crazy. It makes me so mad. And when Kevin pushes me, I'm like this, and he'll kind of push me to the side. That's fine, because you can roll with it and like come around. But the reason I get pushed so off balance, the reason it enrages me so much and I feel like a failure, like I can't just stand my ground, Kevin is way bigger than me. Krunu is way bigger than me. The reason I'm so off balance is actually because I'm leading with my head, and I know this, but I don't fix it fast enough. So if you're off balance, like if you're throwing a punch and you're kind of missing and off like this, or if when you're coming forward someone pushes you and you're off like that, it's because this is not balanced. So in all of my work, I try to do something. In Thai, the word is roop. Roop literally means like a picture, but it's also just like a image or like shape of something. So your roop is like your posture, or like what your general silhouette is. So if I'm like this, my roop's pretty good, right? Like this, it's all kind of solid. But if someone punches me in the stomach and I go like this, they've broken my roop. People break their own roop all the time. They break their own roop because they're tired. They break their own roop because they're disappointed. They break their own roop because they just don't have discipline. Dieselnoy, who's like the most hardcore trainer in terms of like making sure you fix every little detail. When you're throwing your knee, and Dieselnoy is the best at this, when you're throwing it, you keep your root completely like just upright. It's this beautiful like all one piece. He hates when you kind of like break yourself, and it's because the balance is shit, so your power goes all over the place, but it also just looks bad. So in working on my balance, even though when I'm throwing my elbows or something like this, nobody's pushing on me. When I try to throw one too hard and see if I can kind of off balance myself, what I'm doing is trying to solidify root, right? So as I get more tired, I don't want to be slouching. I don't want to be kind of like phoning it in, looking like this. I don't want my elbows to come too short. I don't want my knees to start being like this and too like swallowed when I'm on the wall. So thinking about balance and thinking about root totally go together. Kevin and I have talked about root on our Muay Thai Bones podcast, and I'm pretty sure I've written about it on my blog as well. So if you're interested in learning more about root, I will find these links for you and put them up. But that's what I'm thinking about. Okay. Forgot my water. Sawadee ka, P-boy, P-kai. So, if you guys have followed me on Facebook for a while, or if you watched my session from, I think, maybe 4 or 5 days ago, I was wearing a shirt from Thai Cloth. And if you've been following me for a long time, you know that if you're in Chiang Mai, the place to go for custom shorts, and now for shirts, because they do that, but absolutely custom shorts, the best is Thai Cloth Shop, otherwise known as P-Boy's Shop, in Chiang Mai. They're still taking orders, so you can still order through them online. But hello, P-Boy. Thank you for watching my session. What I was saying when I first started about how there's like an advantage to this situation on being able to work on things kind of undercover in secret, so that I can be like a ninja when I return to training. Something that I thought of as a disadvantage, because I really just want to be hitting things, actually is an advantage, which is I have nothing to hit. So because I can't make impact, like I can't hit anything with real power, a lot of us cheat, and we don't know we're cheating. It's just that we never try something outside of it, and so we think that this is just the way it is, but it's cheating to always impact something and have that be the thing that allows you to have balance. When you miss, if you're off balance, this means you have not trained the full range of motion in something that you're doing. So something that I got yelled at a lot, I want to say early on, but I still get yelled at about this when I'm being sloppy. I'm a knee fighter, so I throw knees. When I throw a knee and I kind of throw myself forward and I land off balance off of it, like even if I make contact like this and my trainer steps back and I'm like that, That's because I haven't trained full control of the knee. If you want to see someone who's got control of their knee in shadow, Crew Pot, Kevin and I did a slow motion of his shadowboxing. Fucking hell, this guy's control on his knees in shadowboxing is incredible. And then Yod Kun Pan also is super impressive in the way that his knees come in shadowboxing. And Yod Kun Pan made a big point to me that you have to be able to shadow your knees, otherwise you'll never have control in them in a fight. And I think that what he's talking about, whether he thinks of it the way I do or not, is that if you're using making contact as your cheat for being on balance, like you have to hit something, otherwise it's not going to come down right, you haven't really gotten control of that strike. So the advantage of not having anything to hit here is that I can work on my balance, which is what I'm trying to work on, by focusing on control in shadow. So if I can't land my knee against anything, I have to maintain I have to get power into it. I don't want to be like kneeing like this when I actually get into something. So I want to throw it the way I will be throwing it, but with balance, right? So I don't have to hold the wall. I'm holding the wall because I'm doing a bunch of them, but I should be able to control my kick, stop, this kind of thing. So if you have nothing to hit, it's actually an advantage. It's a time to use not being able to use contact as your like balance point, to learn how to control all the way through the motion on a lot of different things. Scrolling and I hit the wrong thing. Okay. So even just the way you move around in between things, just feel whether you're like leading with your head, if you're too far over, if you're leaning back too much on kicks. Like try to feel like an overall something going straight through. again, I've mentioned this a few times, when I'm doing those knees on the wall, I forget to focus on this like pop up on my toe, which Mokpet and Chai made a really big deal about. I'll just kind of stay on my toes like this and do marching. I try to remember to have the flex in my foot to like really bring those up. All right, so Michelle asked for those elbows not fast to see what's happening. I hit myself in the face sometimes too. Don't worry about it. Okay, so I keep a guard like this. Like I try to make my opposite arm so that I come back with my hand on my head like this. So if I throw the elbow here or here, doesn't matter whether it goes outside the guard or inside the guard, but you want your guard to stay up. You don't want to pull back first and come, because then you're losing time. Sagat's very funny. He's like, don't send your elbow back to America and then bring it. So you want it to come out of just coming forward like this, right? And you want your elbow to go past the front line. So I don't want to be ending here. I want to be ending with it past there. My hands are relaxed. They're a little bit bladed, the way like a sprinter would have them, but not tight. Yeokjongpan has them super loose, like whippy. I don't quite do it that way, but I have them, they're not in fists and they're not super straight. They're just kind of like the way they'd be with running, maybe. Like that. And then if you're doing other directions, they're still more or less like sprinter hands. Sweating all over my floor. That's good. Sawasdeeบุญวังคุณบุญวังซินวี่อยู่พัทยาค่ะแล้วก็ซินวี่เป็นนักมวยที่เพชรเรืองแต่ว่าตอนนี้กักตัวนี่เป็นห้องซินวี่อยู่พัทยาเป็นบ้านซินวี่สวัสดีค่ะ Someone's asking me where I am, whether I'm in Chiang Mai or Pattaya. The first, I think, 10 days or so of these sessions were in Chiang Mai, and now to day 18 have been in Pattaya, so it's a little bit of a split. But yeah, so I'm in Pattaya for anyone else who wonders. Michelle, glad that helped. Glad you can do it. Okay, so today's thoughts for me are how important it is for me to stay focused on the element no matter what I'm doing, because I'm generally doing the same thing every day. I'm generally doing my 500 elbows, 500 knees, and then I'll kind of add things to it. Occasionally, I just don't want to do that, and so I'll mix it up a little bit because I'm in charge. I can do whatever I want. So the other day, my focus was getting myself tired. I tried to add in some like kicks and teeps and things just to kind of experiment and play with different things. You don't have to do the same thing every day, and you could not do the same thing any day, but you want to have some kind of consistency in what you're working on. So even though what I'm doing is very repetitive, and even though I'm changing things up every now and then, I want to keep reminding myself that what I'm trying to focus on, no matter what I'm doing, including if it's like going downstairs and coming back upstairs, is awareness of my balance, because I really, really want to be building my balance. And that's not a concentrated thing in the sense of like, I'm going to try to be balanced. You can't really try to be balanced. It's a concentrated thing in that it is a concerted, concentrated focal point. So I'm watching it. I'm watching my balance. I'm not controlling it. I'm not like hammering it. I'm not yelling at myself about it. I'm just watching it. So if I do something and I come down off balance, I saw that that was off balance. When Kevin drives me crazy because he's like blowing me offline with his push, it's because my head's too far forward. I don't have to yell at myself about that, but I saw it. Like I saw that my head was too far forward, and I can make that adjustment as I go. So I guess the idea is that even though it can be a little bit of a chore, or it can feel a little bit like unmotivated, or it can feel like, oh, I just wish I was doing what I was more used to at my gym or something like that, what you're doing here, or what you're doing at home, or whatever it is that you are able to do, that's what you're able to do. So look forward to it as part of your day instead of like pining for what you can't do, because you know what? All of us are actually in various states of grief because we're not allowed to do what we want to be doing, and we're kind of separated from things that are important to us. That's okay. There's not a whole lot you can do to control that, but what you can control is the excitement you have about what you are able to do here. And even if it's very limited, and even if it's very redundant, if you have a focus, like if you choose something that you're working on all the time, especially if it's not something that's right or wrong, but rather like a general thing that you're trying to watch rather than pass fail, it can become really, really rewarding, and you will see huge changes and gains when you end up, getting back to where you think you know what the shape of yourself is, and you plug yourself back into it after working on stuff for however long we're home. And I promise you'll see differences, and people in your gym will probably see differences as well. So,
you have 2 good questions.
Do I need to go look at them, or you want to read them to me?
They're long.
Kevin's my watchdog. He told me I have questions. I'll look at the questions. Okay. These actually go together a little bit because the first question is, what do you throw after an elbow? And the second question is about knees. Throwing a knee after an elbow is really, really good because knees and elbows work together for a number of reasons. One is that they're similar range, if not the same range. So you don't have to change distance in order to use both of them. And then on top of this, what's really great is that they're high and low. So you basically confuse people. If you throw your elbow and then throw the knee, you're like going high-low, and they kind of can't protect everywhere all at once. So if you land an elbow, it kind of depends on what kind of elbow it is, and it depends on what your opponent does. But say you land like a fansok, right? So just like across. So you get an elbow this way, and your body is turned this way now. So it makes sense for you to either throw a knee this way. If you throw an elbow this way, you can pivot off to the side, and now you have more distance, and you can throw a kick. You can throw an elbow, step back, punch. It depends on what you like, and where your opponent's going. If your opponent takes an elbow and takes a step back, that's going to dictate that you use longer weapons or step in really hard. If your opponent is kind of stunned and stays exactly where they are, throw another elbow or pivot off to the side. The question about Yodkunpan's knees, Yodkunpan is southpaw, but when he's throwing his knees, he really throws them more or less symmetrically, like he stands pretty square when he's throwing them because he does it mostly from clinch. But your question was, from an orthodox stance, how do you throw the left knee, I think? Is that right? Okay, look. Kevin can't hear me. Okay. So, if you are orthodox and you are facing another orthodox fighter, your left knee is game. Your left knee is awesome because that's their open side. If you picture someone standing in front of me, their front knee is here. This is my open side. So you don't want to throw it just like this because you don't really have power on that. So you can either do a little bit of a gallop and knee like this, which is probably what Karahat would do. It's like a small gallop. Or you can just walk, right? So you can just kind of like shove someone if they're too close, or just take a step and throw that knee and come back down. So if you're throwing your back one, you don't really have to take the step necessarily. You can do it as someone's coming towards you, but just step and throw that knee and then put it back down. I hope that answers the question. So Caitlin is saying there's a problem of closing eyes when in really close for elbows. You're not the only one at all. People close their eyes when they're punching, they close their eyes when they're blocking. It's just a habit. And like any habit, the way to overcome it is basically to desensitize yourself to it. So you need to spend more time in that elbowing range. So if you're closing your eyes all the time when you're like hitting pads or something, take an entire round if you can, if you have a pad man who will hold for you, or if you have a friend who can like elbow spar with you. And you basically just want to stay in close and just keep throwing that elbow under control and like with the pressure down with your eyes open to get used to your eyes staying open. And then you can gradually bring the pressure and the speed and all that stuff up, and your eyes will stay open along with it. So basically you just need to expose yourself to it a lot more. The reason people flinch or close their eyes is because they're kind of like going into an automatic response. So you just have to override the automatic response by repeatedly exposing yourself to it. There's nothing wrong with it. And elbow sparring is, I mentioned that. Elbow sparring is not with your pad man, but elbow sparring is something that was taught to me by Yodkunpan, and we did it at my Muay Cow Summit. I do it with my friend Caro at the gym. But this is something that you start out very slow and controlled with, but you're basically like in your guard like this, and your friend is in their guard, and you're right next to each other, and you just elbow into each other's guard like this. You want to be hitting guard. You're not trying to hit each other in the face, and you're basically start out with only one elbow. You don't need to be throwing like different angles and stuff, but just throw elbows into the guard and take elbows into the guard, and this will, again, desensitize you and give you more exposure to it so that you can kind of be more calm under the pressure, and then you pull the pressure up, and then you're calm under that pressure, and you pull the pressure up, and you're calm under that. But there's no quick fix to keeping your eyes open, because the problem is a habit. It's like ingrained, so you just have to kind of record over it. Okay. So, thank you guys for watching day 18 of at-home workout. This is, all 17 days prior to this are on my Facebook page that you're watching this on now. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's also a playlist. If you're on Facebook, Kevin then uploads this to YouTube so that you can have a playlist and go look at this. So if it's easier than scrolling through my Facebook page, you can just go on YouTube and see the days that are previous to this, or search through them for something in particular if you missed a particular day, or remember a particular day that you wanted to review or something like that. If you have any questions, you can send them to the Muay Thai forum. And if there's anything that you're thinking about that you kind of want to share with other people, you're like, this is cool, I'm enjoying it, I want other people to also enjoy it, post it on the Muay Thai forum. That's also what it's for. It's not only questions. And in a very, very cool way, it's not just me. Like, it's not sending me a question although I try to answer it when people ask me questions on the forum so that other people who might have the same questions can also benefit from that answer rather than personal communication. But what's very cool is that I don't know everything, so when you post something over there, you get input from all kinds of different people with all kinds of different experiences, which I think is very, very cool. And thank you to my patrons for supporting me in everything that I do, allowing me to continue to create content even under the circumstances that we're all in right now. And Kevin and I are trying to adjust as the world is adjusting in order to get to content that we generally don't have time for, because we have so much in the queue all the time that we're always just producing what we can. But right now we're able to spend a little bit more time doing watch with me's. So we did 2 of those last night. If you guys don't know what this is, Kevin and I will watch a fight from the Golden Age that we haven't really seen before. Sometimes we will have seen it, but like a long time ago. So we're basically watching it fresh and just getting our actual real-time responses watching it. It's basically, it's not a breakdown. Kevin and I don't do breakdowns or analysis, although we tend to know these fighters, know their styles. Some of them we know personally, or they're in the Muay Thai Library and I've trained with them. And so we have input, like we have things that we're saying about what their strategy might be or what they're doing or what we see. So you can learn about Muay Thai scoring or about that style or something by listening to us, but we are geeking out. Like, we're just honestly very excited to be watching these fights. So we've had more time to do those now that we're at home all the time. So we did 2 of those last night. We did Karahat versus Longsawan. Those 2 fought 5 times in stadium fights, and then they fought 4 more times, like, in their 40s. So they fought 9 times together. It's fucking incredible. And then we also did Karahat versus Wong Chinoy, which was incredibly exciting. I think that was like Karahat's prime, was right around that time in those fights. So that was very exciting to watch. You guys can go watch the Watch With Me playlist. We have quite a few on there. So thank you very much. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, be safe, and find something to focus on and make it your thing and be excited about it. Being excited is free, and it helps a lot in everything that you do. Take it easy.